YouTube. This is Marcus, and in today's video, we're going to talk about why saving money is stupid. I know. What is this guy talking about? He's the debt-free dad with no space in between debt-free, so it's grammatically incorrect. Why in the world is he talking about saving money is stupid? He talk about all this debt he got, and he shows us what he pay off every month, and all these financial principles and philosophies. Well, the reason why saving money is stupid and could be a fast track to a person becoming broke is because of one word: inflation. Now let's just get a quick definition of what the word inflation means. Inflation is essentially when your money loses value due to no efforts on your own. Now, essentially inflation occurs in three ways. First, there's demand pull inflation. That essentially means the demand for a good or services rise faster than the supply. The second way is cost push inflation. And this is typically when you think of oil prices. When prices go up and it costs the price of goods to go up, therefore your spending and purchasing power decreases because the price of goods and services are going up. And the last one is devaluation. Now with devaluation is interesting because we all know in this time with coronavirus and all the economic hardships that we're dealing with, the government has just been printing money left and right. Now back in the day, money was backed by gold, but since money isn't backed by gold, the only real value that your money has is the value that the government says is worth. And so with that being said, anytime there's a devaluation or the government inserts too much additional money into the marketplace, it could devalue the price of the dollar and cause it to reduce your spending and or purchasing power. So I know, wait, stop. I know right now everybody's probably thinking, oh, this is a pitch for inflation, and inflation rises at about 3% a year. But I'm going to ask you to stay tuned to this whole video, because in the end, I'm going to show you some actual numbers, not anything that I'm putting on the board today, but some actual numbers and images to show you some returns on my investments. And maybe a little bit down the road, I'll do a series on the basic beginner's fundamentals of investing, and I'll talk a little bit about my strategy for investing and how I make sure that my investments yields far more than the 3% to cover the cost of inflation. So definitely stay tuned for that. Now let's just dive back in. Again, like I just said, inflation typically is around 2 to 3% per year. So in 2020, the inflation rate is going to be about 2.2%. This is how inflation works. $100 in the year 2000, today, 20 years later, to have the same purchasing power that you had with $100 in the year 2000, you need $151.12. So to store all of your money in the bank and get a minimal return on your savings could be a fast track to the road to being broke. So with that being said, let's take a look at the banking institution. In 2019, 6 banks spent over $1 billion in advertising. And the reason they spent that much money on marketing is because those banks want you to put your money in a savings account where they can pay you little to no interest on your money, but use a concept called fractional lending, which I won't get into right now, to lend your money out at an interest rate of 18 to 25%. So in 2018, banks generated $18.34 for every $1 that they spent on advertising. So this just shows you the value that advertising has and the reasons why banks want you to put your money into a savings account. So in order to avoid the pitfalls of a savings account and lose that money, there's 3 things that you really need to know to make sure you aren't losing to inflation with regard to your hard-earned money. The first thing is definitely take a look at online banks. Now I'm not going to name any online banks because nobody get no free ads on this channel, but online banks typically have a higher interest rate than those banks that have brick and mortar facilities. And the reason they have those higher interest rates is because they don't have to pay those additional costs associated with a brick and mortar facility, staffing it, insurance, and so forth. So that money that they save, they can give to you at a higher rate on your savings account. The number 2 thing that you know is a savings account should be used only to build your emergency fund. Once you have 3 to 6 months in your emergency fund, You shouldn't put any more money into a savings account. If 3 months of your expenses is $15,000, there's no need to put $30,000 in saving. Keep $15,000. That emergency fund is liquid, is accessible. You got $15,000 in that account that you can get to in your savings account, and anything in excess of that, the other $15,000 that you have, you can put into the marketplace, maybe a mutual fund, maybe a single stock if you like living life on the edge like that, but you can do something else where you can get a return that'll definitely beat the cost of inflation. And I think the last thing you need to know, in addition to only storing your emergency fund, the only other reason you should use a savings account is when you have a sinking fund, when you're saving for a particular event or a particular item that you want to buy. Those are really the 3 rules that you want to pay attention to and focus on when you're using a savings account. To park too much money in there will definitely cause you to lose in the long run financially, and you can definitely be on the fast track to being broke. Now, what we're going to do today, I want you all to take a look at some of the returns that I had over the past 5 years on my investments. These are actual returns. These are actual screenshot printouts of the numbers. I'm not writing anything on the board. I want you to see the actual numbers. Heck, for the most part, if you're pretty savvy and you can understand basic fundamental concept of investing, you can invest your money in the market and you can beat the rate of inflation easily. As you can see from the image I just showed you, most years I have double-digit returns. Now, there was one year, I know you all saw it, it was circled, and it was in red. Hey, every now and then you're going to have a sucky year, that just happens. But the key thing that you want to remember is when it comes to investing and beating inflation is that you definitely want to have, it's 2 things that are important. Consistently putting money into your investment account and time. So long as you have time, a lot of times you can overcome any losses that may occur in the market in a year or over a short period of time. Because, I mean, hey, I got an extra probably 20 to 25 years that I'm going to be investing. So if I have an anomaly year where I take a loss like I did in the image, it's not really a big deal because I'm in it for the long haul, so I can definitely recoup those gains and make many more. But that's it. That's quick. Again, I'm thinking about doing a video on the fundamentals of investing, and then after I finish off that video series, I'll talk a little bit about my philosophies and principles that I use to get the returns that you all just saw that I've been getting over the past 5 years. So with that being said, remember, a savings account, you want to look online for those higher interest rate savings account. You only want to put what you need as an emergency fund in a savings account, and you only want to use a savings account for those items that you're saving for. You want to use it as a sinking fund for those items that you're saving for or those events that you're saving for. Anything else more than a sinking fund and more than holding only your emergency fund will cause you to lose 3% a year. And again, you want to use your money to work for you. Every dollar bill that you have is an employee that could be working while you're asleep making you money. I appreciate you all tuning in. Remember, like, subscribe, comment, and if you comment, I'm definitely going to get back to you. And to everybody who subscribed, especially, all my day one folks, it's just so many to name. I might put an image in the video that just kind of give their pages a shout out. But, I mean, I appreciate you all for subscribing. I finally got over the 100 subscriber mark. I'm definitely appreciative, and I'm definitely grateful that you all appreciate, the content enough to actually click on the button. I appreciate it again. Take care. Peace.